All right. Figured today we'll go back to some basics, just do some headlock escapes from the ground. Headlock escapes are probably the most valuable things that you learn early on. They're always worth revisiting, right? The basic concepts, I talk about concepts a lot, but the concepts that we use in jiu-jitsu throughout, they pop up in headlock defenses just like everything else, all right? So we'll go from the ground today, because I don't want to be on my feet. So, here we are. Ryan's got me in a headlock. We'll go here. Right? Can you guys see us all right? Excellent. First thing that I want to make sure, so here, his head is far enough away from mine where the first defense is going to be useful, right? Another thing that always comes in when we talk about headlocks and that I use in just about every position is I think of indicators, right? What I'm going to do is determined by the situation that's presented to me. So right now, my indicator is that his head is far away from me. If he's got me in a headlock, the last thing I want, just like whenever I'm in guard or whenever I'm trying to get off from the bottom, I don't want to be flat on my back. If I'm flat on my back and Ryan's able to pull this arm up, I'm not going anywhere. There's absolutely no way. This is just a terrible, terrible place. So, step one, I want to be on my side. And a good tool to use for that is this arm. For me right now, my right arm. I want this right arm, I want the elbow on the ground and I want it hidden. Ryan will be trying to pull that arm up so that he can flatten me out. I've got to keep that down, right? So, the indicator, as I mentioned before, it's that his head, there's space between our heads. So I'm going to take my back hand, my left hand, slide it in front of his chin, and frame his chin. All right? I'm going to take my right hand that I have hidden. I'm going to support the frame against him. And what I'm going to do from here, I keep this frame in place, and I hip escape to make space between my hips and his. Right? As I'm doing that, this frame kind of strings him out a little bit, stretches him out. Make one big hip escape, and then the top leg on back comes up, right on top of his head. Right? So hip escape, up, hip up. Let's see. Good angle. All right, one more time. I want to be on my side. So I'm going to hide my right arm, frame his face with my left. Frame, hip escape. Let's see here. Are there any questions about that right now?
Nope.
Excellent. Do you guys want to see a couple other angles just to make sure you get it all?
Yeah,
No,
other
no.
angles would be good.
Great. We'll go here. And then once I come up, I can switch arms. I can attack Kimura. Or when I switch arms, I can just come right to his back and secure my position. In the self-defense scenario, you're looking for other threats or just standing up and getting out of dodge, right? Last one. It's this way. It's this way. All right. So that's the very first, in my mind, all the indicators are, that's the first one in the line, right? I'm on my side, his head is far away from me. Does that make sense? So, the next headlock defense comes in when his head is close to mine so I can't get my framing. Here we are, his head's close, right? So I can't get this in. Again, I'm on my side, and my elbow's on the ground, so my back is not flat on the mat. All right? Also, this time, when I hip escape to try and make space, Ryan's gonna follow me, right? He knows he's got me in a good place. He doesn't want me to make space to use. So this time, as he follows me, my back leg, instead of coming up to get over his head, because I don't have this frame space, right? I hip escape, he follows, comes over, and inserts a hook right over his hip. Okay? My left hand is going to grab right at his lap, right by his armpit. All right? And what I'm going to do now, I reverse hip escape under him while I pull his lat, and I pull with my leg. Again, I'm thinking in a series, right? First thing, I want to try and get this head away from me because I want to have that space. If his head's tight, it's much less comfortable. You know, it's much more threatening for me, and it's easier for him to keep me here. So, step one, check. That's not here. Step two, I want to make space. He follows. I insert my hook. I grab his lat. I push up into him so he pushes back. Any questions on that yet?
Nope. Good stuff.
Great.
Would you ever want to stop like halfway through rolling him to try and get his back, or like are the hooks not in a good position, or like momentum not good at that point?
That's not a great position to try and get his back, partly because he's still got my head trapped, right? Even when I get the hook, as I pull, I mean, there's nothing to break this grip, right? If I insert this hook. So this, I mean, I feel terrible. All of his weight's on me. I can't create any space. Even if I get this frame in somehow, I don't have any sort of leverage to use to get this grip to break. Instead, I'll just keep going. So that I get to this position. Now I've gone from being on bottom in a headlock to on top. And though his hands are still connected, what I can do from here, I can now use that frame that I didn't have from the bottom. Again, I reinforce with my other hand, and then I just look up as I push down with my wrist. And I'll break, and I'm here. It's the same kind of hook that you use when you take somebody's back. The difference is if he has control of your head in that headlock position, it's going to be so hard to free that the benefits you gain by coming up and getting on top vastly outweigh the risks that you're taking by trying to take the back. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. Thank you.
Great. Now, any other questions? Great. So, the indicators on, at this point in the series, you have two options, you know, once I set that hook. One of them is I pull him over like we just did. The other is I'm going to be able to back out the other way. Right? Same setup, same indicators. I'm on my side. I can't get my frame. I make space. He follows. I set my hook. I try to pull him, and he bases out and stays heavy on his side, so I can't pull him, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that energy that I've created by trying to pull him, and I'm going to come up this way. So I pull, he goes back. And I bring my arm out here, right? Now at this point, here, let me change this down a bit, right? So we're here, rotate. Now my head ends up right behind his armpit. Here. If he keeps his hands together, all I have to do to break it is climb my head north, right? North up along his body. And that kind of institutes a shoulder lock, but more than anything else, it makes him let go of my head. And then I come up, and I'm here really close to taking his back, ready to attack. Does that make sense? Let's show that again. Here we are. Escape. Try to pull. He doesn't let me. So instead, as I let go, I use the energy going that way. And I pull my arm out. Right? The way that you finish getting up on top is as you're pulling, when you come up, you got to get this arm up to use for stability and for base. Does that make sense?
Yes.
The other thing is the principle he's talking about, putting that head behind the armpit, that's what stops me from recovering the position. So if you see that from that same angle, if he doesn't drive that head into the back of the arm, I can recover under me and I'm in a less vulnerable position.
So we'll show that one more time. Here we are. I can't get my frame. Hip escape, he follows. Hook. Try to pull. And now we're here. Does that make sense to everybody? Are there any questions on any of this? All right, we'll go through everything one more time. You know, I think these are the most useful and practical headlock defenses, especially when you're on the ground. If you know let's remember what our goal is when we're on the ground. Big picture. We have to make space and we have to stay on our side. If we don't make space, the guy on top gets to dictate where his weight goes, what I can and can't move. If I make space, then I can start making decisions about what is and what is not happening, right? Same thing about being flat on our back versus being on our side. If I'm flat on my back, I'm immobile. I can't go anywhere here. Even when we hip escape, we're on our side. So, here we are. He's got me flat on my back. I don't want to be here. Get up and I hide my elbow. Frame of space. Keep this frame in place. Hip escape. Leg up. Right? Now, 2A. On my side, I can't get my frame. And now to B, or not. I'll get that hook in, same thing, I can't get the frame in against his chin. I'll get the hook, I'll try to pull, he'll go the other way. Let's catch it. All right. Any questions on those?
No.
All right. One last thing. That's why I always feel like I drill these into the ground. So I'm always I'm pretty comfortable if somebody ends up putting me in a headlock on bottom. I feel okay just remembering what those main principles and main issues are, right? In that 2A and 2B scenario, when you have that hook and that lat, you're gonna end up going one way than the other. It's not always going to be you're able to pull yourself out, right? As I'm trying to come up, Ryan's gonna be pushing back into me. But as he pushes back into me, that lets me cut under to pull him over. Does that make sense? As I'm coming up, he's pushing back. It's another small example of position where that big concept of push-pull comes into play. I'm pushing Ryan away so that I can come up. He doesn't want that to happen, so he's driving back into me. The fact that he's driving into me means that I can now pull him over. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Excellent. That's really all I had specifically to go over today. Is there anything else that anybody wants to talk about, anybody wants to touch on?
They get you in a case of katana.
I'm sorry, start that one again?
Headlock, pulling the arm up. Case of katana, you know, the judo.
I really hate it. This is something that, and I feel like I say this all the time. You're gonna wanna talk to Alex and Brian about the specifics, right? Just because it is such a common judo position. When they've got me in case of katana, you know, this is that bad position I was trying to avoid. They have, he's got it pulled up to the sky, so I can't get on my side, right? So what the technique is, try to make a little bit of space, and then I'm going to bridge and try and get Ryan's head to touch the mat. And then I'm going to bridge and bring him over this way. God, I hate this. We'll do that a little further back so you can actually see it. Again, he's got my arm. It's being pulled straight up so I can't get flat. I can't get on my side. I'm stuck flat on my back. I'm going to try and move my hips away a little bit and bridge so that his head comes up next to mine, right? I'll bridge basically here. I got to get him light. And then I roll this way. The goal and the hope is that using those first techniques and remembering to keep your arm hidden and get on your side, they never get you in Keisekatami. Because Keisekatami is terrible. It is uncomfortable. And if you watch guys like Josh Barnett or other, big burly dudes who know how to wrestle, they're going to be able to finish you from there. There's nothing good about being in Keisekatami. That judo roll, I don't know what it's really called, but that roll is sort of your last ditch effort to get out. The hope, it's like being caught in a triangle. Don't be there. The hope is as you're getting into that position, you're remembering this arm gets down and then you get on your side. How's that, Pat?
Yeah, that's really good. I appreciate it.
Of course. Anything else? All right. Well, that will be our lesson for the day. The news is the news. Everybody be safe.
Yeah.
As we have more information about what we can and can't do and when we can and can't do it, we will certainly be letting you know.
Thanks a lot.
If
Stay
any
safe, everybody.
or they hit you in 5 or 10 minutes, post them, contact me, contact Ryan, contact Tim or Damien. We're happy to answer them. All right? Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Cheers.
Yeah.